Hey everybody, I think I got this working the way I needed to on my Octatrack and my Modular. Um, what I had to do was go into the Dofer menu. So if you go here, this is the firmware version. If you hit the right arrow key under the NOT note, hit the enter command channel. This is where you go back, hit enter again. This is where you need to set your channel. So it has to match on the Octatrack. If you look on the track that you want to sequence and sample your modular, so track 1, you have to press the MIDI sync, press that button, then you come over here and on a track 1, double click. This needs to match the Dofer. This set to off. I think this should be set to off as well. I'll have to double check with Elektron support. But yeah, now it's working really good and it's really cool. The way I have it routed is I have my inputs from the Octatrack feeding back. So if you look here, I have input A and B, and it feeds back to the modular. I have it goes output on the IntelliGel Quad VCA, goes out from my modular back to the input A and B on my Octatrack. On the output, that goes to my monitors. So it allows me to do two things. It allows me to sequence the modular, sample the modular, and also lets me add in samples outside of the modular, like drums and clap. And you'll see when I add the jam at the end of the video how cool it sounds. Once you have the modular, which by itself sounds cool, but doesn't really fill out a full track, you'll see how it really nicely comes together to do a whole live show with the Octatrack and small modular system. And I think I layered effects. The only thing I've not figured out is how to get the effects to process against my modular. I have to do some research on that and testing, and probably talk to Elektron on how you would apply the effects like delay and reverb to the modular connected to the Octatrack. So the key for the patch to get it to work from the Dofer A190 module, you need to take the gate patch cable from the gate to your oscillator. So here I have the Richter anti-oscillator. There's a location called 1V/OCT, 1 volt per octave. So that's for pitch control of your oscillator. And that's really important. You need to have that working from the gate to the 1 volt octave, or you won't be able to control and sequence your modular from Octatrack. And then of course the MIDI in from the Dofer to the MIDI out on the Octatrack Elektron. Then the second thing is the standard basic patch from the oscillator into the filter. So on the Richter Borg filter is a little different than regular VCF. You have this input. This has 2 outs and inputs. It's a pretty fancy dual filter. Then from the filter, it's kind of hard to see the output to the Quad VCA IntelliGel, which right now is one of my favorite VCAs. It's really good. And then of course route the output from the modular into the inputs A and B on the Octatrack. So this gives me a lot of encouragement, and as you can see, the MIDI out from the Octatrack goes to the MIDI in. And you want to make sure these connections are firm, or you might have some crosstalk or feedback or issues. So yeah, I'm really excited. It sounds really good. And then this is like at the end of the session what I got going on for the jam. So you can hear it if I turn the modular up a bit. And actually I have to go back to my Octatrack and just hit stop, press this out, unpress that, press playback, turn up the levels on my master. So when you stop playback, the oscillator keeps going because it's connected. And oscillators, what do? They oscillate, so they keep making sound. So I know it's working, and then I have a sequence here, so I can change the sequence for track 1, which I don't want to mute. So unmute that so it's red. So here on the record, I can change it. So change my trigs. I love the Octatrack. I just love both my electrons. They're so good. And then if I press play again, it should, if I turn up the master. And I can tap tempo. So I'm really happy. I couldn't get this to work before. The only question for Octatrack Elektron support is how to add effects to the modular track that I sequenced from the Elektron, because we have all these really good effects and I don't know how to do that. So anyways, I hope you found this video helpful, and it is challenging getting the Elektron set up for a beginner with the MIDI channels. So here, main thing is just looking here. One thing I have question for Elektron is support is how do these levels, how do you change that? The second question is how to play the MIDI keyboard like a MIDI keyboard. I couldn't figure that part out, and so I have to ask them how to fix that. So that's the 3 questions I have for Elektron support. How to play like a keyboard, because you see people on YouTube like Cuckoo playing at like a piano with modular. And the second thing is how to add the effects to the modular track that is being fed into the Octatrack. And then the third thing is how to sample and how to, do those things. That's really all I have questions about. And then of course, to check your setup, you go to the track here, double click on the source. See, this shows. And also, should this be set to off? This is what it keeps getting set to. Well, let's change that to 0 and see what happens, because I thought it was supposed to be set to off. Hit the encoder. Okay. Now let's see what it does if I go back, get out of this menu before I close. So I'm going to turn my levels up. Get out of the MIDI menu first. So that seems to work well. Maybe it has to do with sequencing. But anyways, I thought this would be helpful. Those of you who are new to Elektron gear and trying to get Octatrack to work with external synths, modular gear, it is challenging. And thank you for watching.